Hello, witches. Well, we're back again, and we are here to do shadow work. So let's get started. I'm going to take a moment just to smudge myself because this is a heavy topic that we're getting into. Okay. I'll take a moment here. I'll get going. I'm going to smudge my page and anything else myself. And hopefully I didn't burn my hair. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so shadow work isn't cute. Let's start off with that. It's not aesthetic, and it's not something that you do for content or validation or spiritual clout. Shadow work is deep. It is confronting. It is uncomfortable. And tonight we're not sugarcoating it. So welcome to Witch Talk. Tonight's conversation is about shadow work, what it truly is, and why witches must do it to grow. And why it actually can't, well, I should say, and why it can actually completely change and sometimes dismantle your life. No lie, no lie. So if you're looking for comfort, this might not be the episode for you. But if you're here for truth, you're here for growth, you're here for real power. So welcome. Now, shadow work is not for the faint of heart. It will challenge you, and it will challenge how you see yourself. It will challenge how others see you. And it will challenge the stories you were taught to believe about who you're allowed to be. So what shadow work is, for those of you who do not know, shadow work is the practice of facing the parts of yourself that you were taught to hide. And it's not because they were wrong, but because at one point in your life, they were unsafe to express. Your shadow is not evil. Your shadow is not broken, and your shadow is actually where your survival lived. It holds on to your anger that you weren't allowed to express, the grief you weren't supported through, the fear that kept you alert, the jealousy that showed you what you wanted, and boundaries you were punished for. You were probably told to dim your light. So shadow work is not about fixing yourself. It's about reclaiming yourself. It's not about becoming lighter or love and light only, because that's not what love and light's about. It's about becoming whole. And as witches, we do not bypass the dark. We have to sit with it. We have to listen. We have to transmute it. Now, shadow work is not trauma dumping without integration. Okay, constantly reliving your pain. It is not blaming your past forever or facing forgiveness or forcing forgiveness, okay, before you're ready. It's turning suffering into an identity, or it's not turning suffering into identity. I said that wrong. It's not turning suffering into identity, okay? Shadow work is not about self-punishment either. It's about self-honesty. And honesty takes courage. So as witches, we work with energy, intention, the subconscious mind, the unseen. How much of the unseen we see, that depends on the witch, okay? But if you do not know your shadow, your magic will run your magic, or your shadow will run your magic, okay? So you have to be able to face your shadow, and it's not easy, okay? Unhealed trauma will show up. And it can show up when you're doing your spell work as reactive spell work, because you need to, before you do a spell, you should make sure that you're doing it for the right intentions, right? It's not meant to control or disguise as manifestation. It's not meant to repeat the same cycles or calling in chaos instead of clarity. Okay. Shadow work gives you discernment and sovereignty, ethical power, and emotional regulation. And this is how your magic becomes clean, clear, and aligned, not power over others or power over yourself. Okay. Shadow work is also not all about you. And this is where trauma and ancestral patterns can come up. Because many of us are carrying generational trauma. That's why a lot of us are or become witches, is because we see the generational trauma. We see the ancestral survival patterns. We can see the inherited silence or the fear that's been passed down through bloodlines. And these patterns were not mistakes, they were protections. But what protected your ancestors may not be, or may now be limiting your own growth. So, and that's probably because, well, it's not probably, it is because we know a lot more now than what we ever did or our ancestors ever did. They were kind of the test tubes of the shadow work, in my perspective, because they tested a lot of what we're dealing with now. We're just the ones that have to carry it. So the shadow work asks, why am I carrying that was never mine to hold? And this is because our bloodline does carry these traumas. It holds a memory in our cells. And when we don't heal on those ancestral patterns, when we don't heal from our limiting beliefs, whether or not it is generational or whether or not it's been passed down from your own family. Okay. A lot of us carry that burden. And if you're a black sheep here, which I know a lot of you are, you've recognized this in yourself. So when when witches start to heal, they heal backwards. Well, backwards and forwards through time. And that's powerful because we're healing ourselves in this moment, but we're also healing ourselves from past lineages, what we've carried on from our ancestors, what we've carried on from our parents. Think of all the trauma that a lot of us went through so much trauma. That's why we're here. That's why we sought out our witchcraft journey. And whether or not you fully believe that you're a witch or not, if you're just starting to learn, this is something that you're going to have to come across. And this is where the shadow work gets really real because healing changes you. And when you stop people pleasing and stop shrinking and stop abandoning yourself, some of those people will no longer recognize you. And some of those people will actually resent you and even may end friendships or relationships with you. But let me be clear here, okay? Because if your healing causes a relationship to end, that does not mean you failed. It means that the relationship was built on a version of you that no longer exists. And that's not a loss, that's an alignment. Okay? We have that inner desire, and I don't even think I don't think we really put it on our plate to say, hey, look at look at all the trauma I have. You know, it's okay. I'll get through it. Just one bite at a time. It's not like that, right? So when we start to heal, those relationships may fall apart because they're not healing along with you. And that's the part that can become very difficult because you're not going to see eye to eye. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do, where you go, who you live with, or who you don't live with. Those people will start projecting on you. So let's talk about projection right now, okay? Because this comes up a lot during shadow work. So what projection is, or what projection does, okay? It happens when someone sees you, or it's when someone sees in you what they refuse to face themselves. It's something that they're projecting onto you. So it can look like you're being accused of things that don't align with your actions. This can come across as gaslighting too. Okay, you're going to see it as gaslighting. If you know what gaslighting is, if you know what shadow, or sorry, what you know as projection, you'll already have seen this. If you're just getting new to this, then I suggest that you look this up, because you are going to take notice and it's not going to be easy. You're going to be called selfish for having boundaries, and your boundaries might show up in the way of um somebody calling you all the time and you deciding not to pick up the phone, and then that person getting upset with you because maybe they know that you're home and you're not picking up, and they don't understand why you're not picking up, and maybe you just need time for yourself. And they might yell at you or get mad at you and say, well, you're being selfish, I needed you. Oh, bravo. I needed me too, and that's why I took the time out. And you're not selfish for setting those boundaries. You may also be told that you've changed. You know, when you start healing, you start becoming a better version of yourself. So you no longer align with your old ways. And a lot of people have a hard time with this, especially if you've been married to somebody for, let's say, years, and you're doing maybe the growth, but your partner's not doing the growth. And then you're not reacting the same way as what you used to. And you're asking maybe questions and saying, okay, well, that's not my issue. That's setting a boundary. I'm not taking in your energy when this is yours to carry. And that is where you'll see a lot of emotional reactions that don't match the situation. A lot of people will get upset, and you are going to be told, well, you've changed. You're not the same person. Yeah, because that's what healing does. Healing won't keep you the same. Healing is meant to change those parts of you that needed healing. So people have a tendency of seeing those changes, and because they're not doing it for themselves, they'll get upset because you're not reacting the same way as you used to. Now, projection is not the truth either. Okay. Uh it is I didn't I don't know how to say it necessarily, but projection is not truth. It's a way of pain seeking somewhere to land. So if somebody's projecting onto you, it's because they're upset with themselves about something that they're not doing, but instead they're going to tell you that you're not doing it because that's easier for them to do and lash out, which then shows up as projection because it's really them. It's not you. It's just you triggering them to see that there's a difference in you and they don't like it, because that means that they can't step on you the way that they did. It means that they can't speak to you the way that they used to. It means that they can't, you know, uh, disrespect you the way that you maybe allowed or tolerated before. And maybe that has nothing to do with toleration. It might just have something to do with you just saying, no, this doesn't bring me peace and I don't need to deal with this. This isn't mine. And you're allowed to say that. But not everybody wants to look at that. Because when you heal, you become that mirror. And that's what they're seeing. It's not actually you that they're mad at. It's themselves that they're mad at for not doing the work that you're doing. So instead of saying, oh my God, look at how much you've healed. You're doing amazing. You're so much calmer. You're happier. You're glowing more. They're going to get upset because they haven't done the work. And instead of just recognizing your healing, they want to take it out on you so that they can feel better about themselves for not doing the work. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense, because it's a mouthful. And it's taken me a long time to recognize the projection. And it's not that it's taken me a long time. I shouldn't say that because I've seen it. But sometimes being quiet is a lot easier than actually speaking up and saying something because you can cause a lot more friction when you actually speak up. And this is where silence can be your best friend. But that depends on who you're dealing with. Some people will respect and say, you know what? That's cool. I understand. I got it. But then those people that say, I can't believe you. You're not doing this for me. You used to do this for me. Now you're not doing it. What's wrong with you? Oh, whoa, whoa. Oh, project much. That's what I start saying. And people don't like when you start saying it. But it's not your responsibility to fix. It's a sign you are doing something, and it's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's an invitation to explain yourself on your terms, because it's not an invitation to explain yourself endlessly for that other person. You're not required to shrink so that others can feel comfortable avoiding their shadow. Remember that. Just because you've done the work doesn't mean that you need to dim your light so that they're more comfortable. And that's what a lot of these, when you hear somebody say, I'm no longer dimming my light, that's them doing their shadow work and recognizing that they've dimmed their light. And they've dimmed their light because they're afraid of either rejection or afraid of being yelled at, afraid of a lot of the traumas come up. And it's not until you heal those traumas that you stop reacting to them. So the best thing to do or how to handle it is that you don't react. Take the time to ground yourself, return to your truth, observe, but only observe what belongs to you, not what doesn't. And then release what's not yours, return it back to the person that's projecting it onto you, because it's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is clarity, not correction, not boundaries, not battles. Healing does not require permission. You're not responsible for others. You're not here to heal everyone. Okay? Healing is an invitation, not an obligation. And your growth may trigger others because it reflects what they're not ready to face. That is not your burden. And that's not your crossroads. So choose yourself. Choose yourself anyways, because that's how you take back your power. Shadow work is about how you reclaim your power. So when you start working on that, you stop forcing, you stop chasing, you stop betraying yourself to belong to a group or to a friend. Like if you have friends that all of a sudden you see that no longer align, maybe before you tolerated it because you didn't want to go through the rejection, because a lot of us who are witches now, a lot of us who are the black sheep in the family, and I know majority of you are because we've talked about it, but that is when we start taking care of ourselves and we stop betraying ourselves, we align with everything good. And that's all you will see. You will align with peace. You will align with your comfort. You will align with everything that is for you. And nobody else matters. Nobody else matters, guys. It is not easy to start off slow, journal, but journal honestly, okay? Because if you're not honest throughout the process, you're not going to heal those past traumas. We were sheep for a reason, because we were meant to stand out. We were meant, everybody else is white. Think about it. If you're the black sheep, everybody else is the same. You're not. You're the black one. You're standing alone in the crowd. And yes, it can feel lonely, but imagine how much power you have in that group of all those white sheep, because you're different. You're not the same as them. And you choose not to be same with them. That's your sovereignty. That is your empowerment. That is you rising. Be the phoenix that you are. See yourself rising from the dust. You can visualize this as we go if you'd like, but see yourself in that power position, and that people stop coming to you the same way. Now, you might actually go through issues when people do that, because when you start taking back your power and you stop people pleasing and you stop catering and you stop tolerating the disrespect, it is not easy to stand your ground. It's not. It is uncomfortable. And that's why a lot of people struggle going through their shadow work. But if you're honest with it, okay, notice your emotional triggers. Ask yourself, what is it that I'm protecting myself from? Maybe it is abandonment. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about this, and I'm going to talk about it today because this is what actually started my shadow book, which I'm going to share with you. Okay. But my shadow book was written from things that I've done for myself. And that was making sure I was honest with everything. This, you are going to be triggered. I'm telling you that, right? It's not, it, shadow work is messy. It is messy, 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 messy. And there's no way around it. You can't sugarcoat it. You can't color it with a different pencil crayon. Okay, you can't. You have to face it. Kind of like the yin yang symbol. And I know I've mentioned this before, but just like the yin yang symbol, you've got a little bit of dark in the light and you got a little bit of light in the dark. And there's a reason for that, because there's balance. We're not perfect. Don't even seek for perfection, because it's never going to have it. That's the ego that's going to drive you if you think that. We are already our biggest creators. Whether or not you believe in God, goddess, God and goddess, or nothing at all, every witch is different with their practice. Okay, I believe I started off with guides and my angels first. Then it went into ancestral, and then it went into deities. You might not go in the exact same way. It's going to come to you the way that you need to. But when you're honest with yourself and you actually take notice of the patterns that are in your family, let's say, I'm going to use myself as an example. Okay. I have a family of alcoholics in my family. And I had an uncle that died of cirrhosis of the liver at a young age, 66. To some, that might be a lot older, but I still look at it as he could have had a good 20 years still. Okay. But he drank for comfort. He didn't know how to cope with life struggles. And our parents' generation was usually alcohol or drugs or cigarettes. I remember being handed my first pack of cigarettes from my mom when I was 15, along with my first booze. And I have sat back and reflected on this for many years, because in the beginning I thought, oh, my mom's really cool. You know, she did this. But as I've grown up and have kids for myself, I started realizing, no, this is a pattern. This is an avoidance. This is not growing up. This is seeing what's wrong in this and still doing it. Who gives their 15 kid cigarettes and alcohol? I mean, maybe back when we were kids, yeah, maybe that was a lot more normal. I don't know. Hands up if anybody else has experienced it. But for myself as a parent, seeing that I have a sister that's an alcoholic, seeing that I have, seeing my, I don't want to say, well, one grandparent, well, no, three grandparents, I should say, that I would think were alcoholics, seeing my mom drink, even though she doesn't drink anymore, or maybe very little. It was something that I was raised on seeing. And I know that when I started going through my own depression, and that was starting to work through my healing, okay, thinking that why is everything my fault? Shadow work will recognize that not everything was my fault. but I was blamed because of how that era was and with where they were at that time. And for myself, I struggled with that. And there was a period of time that I saw myself going down the exact same road as what everybody else in my family was doing because I didn't know how to cope. But then I saw the pattern. And when I saw the pattern, I woke up and I'm like, oh my goodness. I remember going out. I actually told my dad this the other day. I got together with him and I actually mentioned this the other day because he didn't know this. And for my sister-in-law's 30th birthday, went out and I got completely smashed. Yes, I was of age. I had my son at the time, young. I was going through a divorce. I didn't have him with me that weekend, thank goodness. But I came home and I don't remember how I got home. Don't remember. And I was grateful to find out it was my brother that got me home safe. Because when I woke up, I realized, oh my God, I don't even remember how I got home. What if something would have happened to me? What example am I setting for my son? And I took a look at, I had a big case, cabinet of alcohol. And the first thing I did was I called my ex-husband and I said, can you come pick up the alcohol? And he asked me if I was okay. And I said, yep, I just realized something and I can't have this in the house because I was going through a depression. And that was becoming more and more tempting because I didn't know how to handle my stress. I was taught to grab a pack of smokes. I was told to drink, or that's what it was presumed to be. And it bothered me. It really bothered me because I saw myself going down the same patterns. And I had a son. And when I woke up that morning and realized, and it was the start of me cleaning myself up, even though at that time I did not feel like I was an alcoholic, I feel that I could have gone down that road. And God knows where it could have led me. But knowing that I had a son, knowing that I saw the patterns in my own family made me wake up. And I know it was my ancestors that came to me and said, hey, Cynthia, wake up. What's going on? Why are you doing this? Because I knew in that moment that it was my responsibility to not be that for myself, not be that for my son, and not be that for anybody else that was in my life. And that's what got me started on my healing journey. I started it prior to that, but that really was it. That's why I remember it so much. I drank, I smoked, I think I went through a whole pack of cigarettes, and I was like, Sin, what are you doing? And that was 15 years ago. 16 years, 15, no, it's going to be 16 years this year that I quit drinking. And I was so happy that I did that because I don't know where I would have ended up if I didn't, or what kind of example I would have shown my son if he would have been in a different position. And he is nothing like I was when I was a kid. And that is because of me. I know that is because of me, because I was not going to let that happen. So that's where the shadow work came in. And I had to ask, why am I doing this? What am I protecting myself from? Why do I feel like I'm not in control? And it was just things that I had been taught. So when you start doing your healing journey, you want to take notes and journal as much as you can. Be real. Be real. Nobody's going to read it, only you. So be your most authentic self. And if you're writing something and say, well, I drank because of this, and then scratch it out and say, no, I drank because of this. I drank because I was stressed and I didn't know how to cope. I wasn't shown how to cope. I wasn't taught how to go through stress. And I had to relearn in those moments And I did it for my son. I did. I don't put him up on a pedestal, but I do recognize so much of how he saved me in so many ways. And I think I can speak for a lot of you, because if you have kids, you probably have done the same thing. If you've recognized a pattern, if you're in this position and you have done your shadow work or working through your shadows and have recognized that you're that you're that person. You're the one that could have said no. You're the one that tolerated. You're the one that allowed disrespect. You're the one. Remember, we've got to be real with ourselves. We were too afraid to speak up. We were too afraid to set boundaries. We were too afraid to say that we were being treated with disrespect. Because if we did, we were afraid of maybe losing that person. But the thing is, they wouldn't have been worth keeping if they disrespect you. Now, some people may need something drastic to happen, maybe a separation or a collapse in a relationship in some way, maybe losing a child, maybe, and I'm not meaning from a death or anything like that. I'm talking about maybe a child steps away and says, you know what, you were toxic. You were so toxic, I can't be around you. And that might be the hurt that you're feeling. That might be the hurt they're feeling because they haven't recognized that they hurt people. I know, I've done it myself. I'm not innocent in any of this. That's why I started my shadow work. If you are honest with yourself, you will recognize where you played the part. And it's not to shift blame, it is to be accountable for your own actions, your own healing. And if you tolerated something, that was because you were too afraid to speak up. So the only way to change that is to say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I have lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of family. I've lost a lot of things in my life because I've gone through this step. But I'll tell you, I'd do it again. I would do it again. And that's because healing is so important to me that if my family, my friends, my relationships do not understand, they are not worth keeping around. Say that again. They're not worth keeping around. If you are not being respected while you're healing, they're not worth it. Let them go. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that I've written something about let them. And that whole theory about let them, and I'm not done the book or done the audio book, I should say, because I'm listening to it. But just hearing parts of it, I'm like, I know this. I know this. And that is let them think whatever they want. Let them do whatever they want. Let them be themselves. You do not need to be a part of their story. That's the problem most of us have, is that we feel or we stick around longer than we should. And that is how the disrespect shows up, how the, blaming or the gaslighting or anything that happens, projection. It's us. And that's hard to swallow. That's a hard pill to swallow, guys. Because when you can't, it's not, again, it is not easy to sit there and look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I'm the one who did that. That was me. I shouldn't have said this, or I shouldn't have done this. And some relationships you may not be able to repair, and some may be beyond repairing, and some you may not want to repair because maybe they do have issues just as much as you did, but maybe it took the breakdown of something for you to clear yourself of that torment or that trauma or the next healing stage that you need to take. And that's the part that can be hard because we have a tendency of sticking around too long, especially as witches, as healers. We understand. We're empathetic. We want to be the one that supports and cheers that person on, but sometimes it's not meant to, and we need to release it. And that's where you may want to start exploring that shadow a little bit deeper. And if you need to do that, this is where I bring up my book. Okay. This book was written based off of the stuff that I did for myself. It's taken notes. I don't even want to get into it because there's so much in this. I even have spell rituals in here, guys. Now, you can find it on Amazon if you're interested. No obligation, of course. It is a workbook that is meant to help you work through your shadows. And if you're not sure how to get started, if you're not sure what questions to ask, this book can help you. Okay? It's not that expensive. It's $20. It has lots of lined papers in it so that you have lots of space to go back over it. You can do it multiple times. Okay. But it is dedicated to every brave soul that walked into the dark to reclaim their light. And I said, may your courage guide you home. I get chills when I say that. But this has rituals and journal prompts and so many quality journaling prompts that you could use that I've dug into deep myself. And I've added them as I went. The rituals, if you're a witch and you want to use them, great. If you're not a witch and you don't want to use the mini candle rituals, spell rituals that I've included in it, you don't have to. But it's a very way and gentle way to harness in that energy that maybe you need. Now, I have another book too. It's not just one book. I've got two books. The other book is on twin flames and the complex relationship between a narcissist and an empath. So if you are a twin flame, or you feel that you're a twin flame, or you're dealing with a narcissist, or you're an empath dealing with a narcissist, whatever it is, that can help along with prompts. It's a workbook as well. But I wrote both of them based on my own experience as an empath, having a relationship with a narcissistic empath that almost lost my life to, a narcissistic mother, and a twin flame relationship. And believe me, guys, if you're looking for a twin flame relationship, don't. It's a lot of work. Twin flame relationships are not rainbows and butterflies like a lot of people think. They think, oh, soulmate, I'm gonna get this is the relationship I want. No. It is for healing. Twin flames bring out healing, and not all twin flames end up in unity or in a union together. Okay, a lot of twin flames will have a long relationship. Sometimes they will part ways. Sometimes they'll make it, depending on if both people in the relationship actually do their work. If only one person, it's not going to work. It's not, because you can only go so far in a twin flame relationship before the relationship will collapse. Because if they're not healing, you will see the narcissist. That will start projecting. Not saying that they are a narcissist. Not all of them are. But that twin flame dynamic is hard. It's a fight and flight. So you've got a runner and chaser. One person will run because they're sick and tired of it. The other person will chase. It's not an easy dynamic. A lot of healing, deep healing, and twin flame relationships usually come in on your last lifetime. Usually, depending on if it reaches fruition, meaning the end, not breaking up or anything like that. And it doesn't always happen. It can. I'm not saying it won't. It can, but it's not always easy. But I'm going to take some time to just look at the comments. I see a lot of you are here tonight, and I appreciate all of you. I saw that J Star first mentioned that they were first. But I believe Sherry is always in the background, probably way before 7, and just knitting in the background. Because I always see somebody waiting early. So thank you, Sherry. I love your dedication. I appreciate you so much. We've got Sorsha the Volva. Hello, beautiful. We got Manny at Super King of the Mods. That's awesome. Now that I remember Manny. And I'm so grateful that you're able to join us again, because I know that there was a time that you really hated not being with us. And I've got Stephen and Amy. I'm not sure if Tamara's here. I've got Ishma here. Thank you, Ishma. Thank you for joining. Is it Bodhi? If you're new, thank you for joining. I haven't seen you here before. And partner Matheson, thank you for joining. I see all these. Porter, thanks for joining. Oh no, that's Porter. I see. What did I say? Did I say partner? I don't know what I said. Now that I see it, I'm like, oh, Porter. Hi, Porter. If it's the Porter that I know. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for joining. Do you guys have any questions? I'm seeing all the comments. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anybody, because I always like, hello, beautiful Rainu Lions. Thank you for joining. Holy crap. I haven't seen you here before. Thank you so much for being here. I love what you're doing in your conscious creators page. And Jessica, which is Sorsha the Volva, she's got Ravens Hollow on Facebook as well. If you guys are looking for new groups to follow, they are amazing. Desi, thank you for being here. I love you so much too, boo. Tamara, you're here. Yes, thank you. See, and you guys, I've seen most of you from the beginning and how much you have grown. And it's amazing. We join here on Thursdays, and we've done it for so long, and we are finally seeing some new faces, which is amazing, because our little coven is growing bigger and bigger. And it's a way to be able to communicate. It's a way to talk and ask questions along the way. I don't ever say that I know all the answers, but if I don't, I will always tune in and find those answers for you. Sometimes they're not right away. Sometimes I have to come back to it, but it's always an opportunity to get those questions out, or even to mention what you want to learn for the next episode, or what the next episode is, because this one was Manny's suggestion, which was shadow work. This is the second episode. The first one was just getting back after a 10-month, I'm going to say, hibernation period. You've called to me twice now. Have I really? Yes. You know what, you guys, honestly, you guys are awesome. And I love how because we need men in here too. So Manny and Steven, I'm not sure if I said hello to you, but I'm letting you know that I'm saying hi. Because I did see you, and I can't remember everybody I said hi to. But yes, one is the runner, one is the chaser for Twin Flames. It is always touch and go. Both have to be in alignment. I'm in a twin flame relationship with my husband. It's been 15 years. It has not been an easy trek. There's lots of background stuff that's going on that I haven't talked about, but we'll see where everything goes, because right now it's not, I don't want to say that I don't want to talk about it. It's just, it's not a place for it, right? I don't want to bring in my personal stuff to my channel. But I know how supportive you guys are, and I want to know what you guys want to do next. Is there something that screams at you and says, "Hey, we've already done moons, right?" Oh no, this is the third episode. I'm just realizing that now because last week was moons. Because the moon is not your boss. If you haven't caught the episode, go check it out because I teach from a chaos practitioner's perspective. I am a gray witch. I do balance everything out, but I practice chaos magic. So I don't go by the threefold rule. How do you say that? Because I don't follow it, guys. I don't. Because when I want to do magic, I just grab what I have and I figure it out. And that's just the chaos part of it. Oh, you were crushed when the North American tour was mine? Or are you talking about your band, Tamara? I'm just teasing. Yes, my North American tour was postponed due to a few things. No, I'm just joking. I don't have a tour. I'm just making it funny. Thanks, Jay. I'm so glad that you were joining us on time. I know I think you fell asleep last time. Yeah, that's what you're talking about, Tamara. So, anybody have any suggestions? Oh, you were toxic relationship with BAMs. Yeah, you know what? Building a community or building a connection with people in general isn't always easy, especially when it's done online. And that's why I took a step out to do it this way because I was one of those witches back in the day, years ago when I first got started, 1996, I believe it was, or 1998, one of the two, when I actually really got started. Prior to that, I was like diving into all this stuff. Nobody understood me. But when I actually started figuring out what I was about, I started off, I believe, in 96. And the relationships you build along the way, they come and go because nobody knows how to interact on this level. Because as witches, we're very open. We like to talk. We like to go deep diving. We like to go down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland and take I want what she has. She becomes a little person in a very big land. I want that. But the whole point of going down the rabbit hole is exploring the inner nooks and crannies, the conversations that most people are too afraid to have. And this is why we can do shadow work, because we talk about this stuff. We don't have a problem with talking deep soul levels to people who are on our level, but we try to do it other people and then they aren't on the same level, and then you cause some friction, and that's just because they're not your people. And I now no longer, and believe me, it's taken a long time, but I used to struggle with when a relationship would fall, a friendship, thinking, what did I do wrong? Could I have said something different? Did I, act differently? Maybe I should dress differently. It's not me. I can be whoever I want to be, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to like me. So be it. And that's not always a easy pill to swallow, right? Because we want to be likable, but we're not responsible to be likable. We're responsible for ourselves. And that's all we need. Right? So don't need to be ortho. I'm not sure. But anyways, if there's a topic that you guys want to talk about, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick something. And who knows where this crazy mind can go. So let me know. I'm going to wrap up for now. For the threefold. Okay, I just say, I am the karma. I'll bring threefolds to you. Oh, I like that. See, another chaos witch. We just met the other day. What, last week was it? Ishma? And we realized that we're both chaos magicians. And we're like, what? I've never met another besides you, Jay, that practice chaos magic. So this is awesome. Like the bomb. Because now we can talk about this stuff without feeling weird about it. You know? Do you collect dead animals? Yeah, I collect dead animals. What do you use the bones for? I don't know. I do. Only some, guys, not all. I do have, I think, chicken bones in the freezer because you can use chicken bones as spells. You can use them to represent body parts that need healing. Don't think the evil stuff. Come on. Even though I could go there, but I don't. I always come from a healing perspective first, and then if I have to, and even then some, I try to do protection first. I won't go there unless I have to. Okay, so, but let's think of, oh, I know it has been a long time since I've done oracle readings, hasn't it? I might get into that again. You never know. If there's enough requests for it, then I might bring them out. But let's wrap this up, and I will think of what we can do for next week's discussion. If you have any suggestions, just message me. And if you guys are new here and are on Facebook, come join the Facebook group. It's under the Witches of Eastview Spiritual Empowerment Group. You can find it on my profile picture. You just have to find me. If you don't know my information, you can always ask me. Just message the comment. I believe I have it in the description. Join our Facebook group. The link's down in the description below. So just click on that. It'll take you there. Take you to my Amazon. It'll take you to my Etsy shop. I've got all of those going. I've got all witchy type stuffs in my Etsy shop for sale. I've got my books on Amazon. So who knows? So you might find something there that you like. And if you don't, that's okay too, because I'm not here to sell you guys anything. Did I lose you guys? I might have lost you guys. I've lost connection. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm going to end the stream in case, because you guys can't see me anymore, and I'm not sure exactly why. So I will end it for now and chat with you later. Ciao, witches.